Nice to have you join us on the program Politics Today on independent television and radio in Benin City with yours sincerely, Sonny Duke Okoson. You know, this month is very special to us at ITV Radio because it's the month for the celebration of our chairman and managing director, the one and only, His Excellency Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawao Ignatius, CFR, the Isama of Benin Kingdom. Yesterday, ITV Radio from across the world gathered to celebrate with the Isama of Benin. So our prayer that he lives longer and makes greater impact, and God continue to strengthen him to do more for humanity. Welcome on board the show today, Politics Today. You would recall that sometime in July this year, the 17 Southern governors met in Lagos and took a resolution on banning open grazing in what is talked about as the anti-grazing law. It was expected to take effect from the 1st of September this year. And that's just a few days ago, specifically on Wednesday. But as we speak, just a handful of states have taken the bull by the horn by signing into law that bill. Edo State is not one of them, as well as a host of other states. And this brings to the question, were the South-South governors really serious about this effort to deal with open grazing? A big question we're asking. While that is on, the state also marked her 30 years of existence. That was on Friday, talking about the creation of Edo State. Delta State did a similar celebration, and then of course I think Ekiti State. But something quite striking about the creation of Edo State again, it brings to mind the outstanding legendary role played by our chairman managing director, His Excellency Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawao Ignatius, in the fundraising to help to deepen the conversation on the Edo State movement, which was part of activities put together by the late Omonomba to drive the process for the creation of Edo State. It was time to match words with action. It's on record that he donated a sum of 50,000 naira at the time just to support the project. So much to talk about as we get along. But let me quickly welcome our panelists here. I'd like to thank very especially Reverend Canon Timothy Iwodaro. He's a public affairs commentator, a scientist, and also an analyst. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We also have with us in the studio a human rights lawyer, a notary public, a certified arbitrator. I'd like to thank very especially Barrister Patrick Isekwene. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
We also have with us in the studio Barrister Emmanuel Obakbolo, who is also a constitution lawyer. Barrister Emmanuel, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Sonny Duke.
Okay, let's start off with the anti-grazing law. Let me start with the lawyers first. Yeah, this is something that was highly anticipated will come into fruition, into reality, against the background of the dastardly activities of some headers, as it were. But it looks like some states have gone ahead, others are foot dragging, others are probably no longer interested. What's your assessment of all the states in the South-South not meeting the deadline set by themselves and for themselves? Mr. Manuel.
First and foremost, the Asaba Declaration, like they called it, and that as it is known today, will only be a mere declaration, a kind of window dressing, without giving it statutory flavor. Now, if you say open grazing is not the issue, it is because of the activities of the headers that resulted to why the governors, the Southern governors, and the people of Nigeria collectively now say, let us do something to checkmate the activities of these headers as it is. So that resulted to the Asaba Declaration by the 17 Southern governors. Like I said, now, for that for the grazing, the open grazing to become an offense, it must be recognized by law, because there is a provision of the law, a principle that says an offense that is not known to law is not an offense, and that the Supreme Court declared in the case of Iwoko and Fagbemi as it were. So that's why many of us now say, okay, hence the governors thought it wise to come together to make that Asaba declaration. They should also go back home and give it statutory flavor. And now they by themselves, for themselves, with themselves, now did say that September 1st will be the deadline. So we anticipated that by this time we should know that open grazing is an offense. But here we are. Some of them are foot dragging. It goes to tell that as at the time the governors sat together to make the Asaba declaration, as it were, it was just to tell the people what they want to hear. However, we are still telling them that there is need to give it a statutory flavor.
But Sekwenda, I want you to lap up on that. I mean, looking at what the Constitution provides.
Like I said, Asaba declaration is, for me, it ought to be a sacred one, because all the governors south met. The issue of open grazing has caused a lot of harassment, not only to state, to Nigeria in general, where we know that it's a notorious fact that a lot of killing, a lot of things have happened, and there is no responsible government that fold its hands. Based on Section 14, Section 2, we say that the primary duty of the government, of the Constitution, is to protect, the security of the people and welfare of the people. That is the primary aim of the government. Based on that, they don't just fold their hand while the people are being killed. They came, let us have let us stop it. Open grazing should stop and give it what is done in a more civilized world, like a ranching and other things. They agreed. Then after such agreement, gentleman agreement, it's not good for them to go back to their states and legalize it by giving statutory favor. The various House of Assembly will pass it. Then there's also assign it. It becomes law. That is what is left. But I'm surprised that even up to this moment, not just about 2 days, I think in most states just did theirs. I commend the kudos to the governor.
Not Enugu.
Enugu State.
Enugu. Yes. So why I brought here, I'm so worried about the man second who said that not about this, not about involved in anything. You know, he said, I'm worried about him.
Okay.
Among all the other governors, they just pull out. You understand me? But see, we can force a horse to a stream.
You can't force it to drink water. All right. Reverend Kano, what is the implication of this scenario playing out with these seeming discordant tunes in the South amongst the governors over this open grazing issue?
You know very well that the population of Nigeria is increasing. As a result, human contact, the frequency of human contact is also increasing. The frequency of conflict is also increasing. Before now, we have 17 governors, and within them, there is going to also be conflict because they are also in contact. So I will not be surprised when some governors say they will not pass into law. You see, I have said it in this program that I have never seen any nation in the whole world that have worked seriously to its own disadvantage like Nigeria. We know what is right, but we start moving around. I schooled in the north. I schooled in Gombe. That's where I went to technical college. While the main school, now this Ramat Polytechnic Kaduna in Meduguri, it was called Technical College. Facilities were there, even though it was at a lower level, our one was at a higher level. We go there. We leave Gombe by 5 o'clock p.m. We arrive at Meduguri around 12 or 1 a.m. We do what we want to do. Early morning, we start coming back. Sometimes we stop, we go inside the bush and go and meet Fulani herders. They will give us raw milk to drink. We take picture with them. So that northeast is where I crawled like a young man in those days, up to Lake Chad. But today, can you do that? So when this thing is coming gradually, there is supposed to be an enactment that will control human conduct so that we don't get to where we are today. So that is what they are trying to do. You will know very well that farms don't move about. Farm is stationary. What move about is the cattle. So that's why we are saying there should not be open grazing. You can't say there should not be open farm. No, because farm is stationary. So when herders move their cattle towards in the farm area, they are supposed to control them, control those cattle. Say no, don't go there. The herders know the language they speak. They move away. But now there is farm everywhere. Somebody making farm for 12 people. Now you have to make for 300 people if it's to survive economically. So we have large farms now. So there is little space now for these cattle to move. So that is the purpose of open grazing ban. So that all of us will now have ranching. So it's surprising that some state government have not passed into law. Those who have not passed into, they want to make it look like as if it's targeted at a particular trade. And that is going to bring acrimony. That is going to bring anger. If you say everybody should sit down and everybody sit on the ground, but when you now say some people are standing, you don't do anything, those sitting on the ground will say you are oppressing them. I do you understand me? So those states who pass into law now, the people will say they are against them. The state that doesn't pass into law, there is conflict everywhere. Because while we are talking of herding of a cow, it's a business. Farming is also a business. In Benin, they say, Adeba, Okagbijan, So what, you cannot join a yam and begin to fight corn. No, the two of them are food. So the herder is economic, the farming is economic. So what they are trying to do by they are finding a midway in which you have a win-win situation. The herders will win, the farmers will win. Then what now you have harmony in the society. The economy will thrive. Then you promote democracy.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look at another dimension to this conversation, which is that the federal government has announced its plans to reactivate grazing routes. I mean, I don't know what you make of this decision. I heard recently that the present location of University of Abuja is on the grazing route, so that whether the federal government is likely going to close down Federal University or close down the university so that we can have, access, I don't know. So let me get your take on this.
Grazing route, like I've said in several occasions, is a pre-colonial matter. And what do I mean by that? What it simply means is that before now, the population of Nigeria was not as it is today. The development we had before, during, and little after independence was not what we have today. So the grazing route issue, also the different constitutional amendments we've had after independence have surpassed the idea of grazing routes. And that is why you see today, before, when the grazing route does exist, as it were at that time, there was nothing like the Land Use Act. But today, the Land Use Act came into existence and is still existing, and it has given power to the governors of the various states to be custodian of the land or to be in trusteeship of the land in their state. So you cannot now come as a federal government and say, oh, we want to begin to trace the grazing route without first looking at the laws, the positions of the laws. And that's why the grazing route issue, as advised by the Attorney General of the Federation to the President, for me, is dead on arrival.
Why do you say that?
Yes, because, like I did say, it has been overtaken by events, 2 by development, 3 by the laws. The laws now do not allow for that any longer. The laws now vest power on the governors as trustees of the various of the lands in their states. So the question now is, does federal government has the power to begin to trace grazing route? Will federal government also force the governors to accept the principle, as it were there, of grazing route? The answer is a no, emphatical no. And so that's why, for me, it is also an attempt by the federal government to begin to wake the sleeping dog and begin to cause more problems in the society. Okay. So the issue of grazing route ought not to come up now. Just look, like you said in your intro, that the present situation or siting of the University of Abuja is one of the grazing routes. Will the government now go to destroy it because they want to please certain group of people? No. So the thing is this: collectively, what the government ought to do. So many solutions have been profiled to this problem. But it appears that the federal government is not interested in them because some persons somewhere are saying, no, this is what we want and how we want it. It is not no longer the issue of this is what we want and how we all want it. It is the issue of what we want collectively and how we want it collectively. So if the federal government told that line, then there will be solution and there will be peace in the society. But if they forcefully want to take the grazing route, there's so many things will be destroyed. Then we cannot go back to the 16th century when man began to exist.
Mr. Sekwene, grazing route activation or reactivation against South Governor's declaration against open grazing. What do you make of this?
I foresee a kind of constitutional crisis on this matter because the governor, by virtue of the Land Use Act 1976, had given the issue of land. That power has been given to the governor, who holds the land in trust for the people of the state. You know what I mean? So, for the federal government to just introduce, say, you want to take back, I don't know how they're going to do that. They don't know how they're going to do that because the governor can just fold his hand, they take it over. And you know too well that governor of a state can tell you, I need any place, even university of who I'm revoking it for the public interest. Yeah. For development. It's not the same goal. So I think federal government, for me, I don't support such idea. They're going too far. Let every state take care of its own problem. I don't know whether there's a particular set of group they try to attack costs. Just like my colleague said here, it must be like this, it must be like this. Because so many steps within a few days. Your issue of waterways, they also come to that. The federal government's issue of being taken over those waterways in all states. How are you going to do that? I know probably through the National Assembly because there are a lot of interests. They might force them to pass into
law.
Yes, it's law. So what I'm trying to say that it might lead to, because government will not put their hands. They're going to lead to a constitutional crisis. Except the order for political solution.
All right. So, Reverend, what can you see as a possible way to resolve this issue against the background of, in a way, it looks like the federal government is disposed to reactivation of grazing routes. The state governors, on the other hand, are against open grazing. Some have gone ahead to enact laws in that regard. So there's a logjam. This ought not to be, ideally speaking. Let's get your perspectives.
You know, sometimes we say majority carry the vote. That is ancient. Now what we have a system whereby the majority will have their way, the minority will also have their way, and everybody will rejoice together. You see, what is happening in Nigeria today is a politics of hatred and politics of acrimony. If not, the cow is to contribute to the economy of Nigeria. The farmer is to contribute to the economy of Nigeria. Why can't we harmonize? If now the federal government insists that there is going to be a grazing route, as was contained in one enactment many years ago. Now, if you come around now, those enactment is not subsisting because society have moved. It's no longer current. Why is it no longer current? The constitution, the ground norm on which this constitution stands, have indicated that there is the governors are in charge of all the land in their respective states. They are holding in custody on behalf of the people. So therefore, it is the duty of the federal government to go from state to state. Maybe there are some states that still have enough space for such thing, they will go do it there. We are in a state where it is no longer possible, then they ranch. And those who are doing ranching, you know, in the ranching, they are input. So we locate the input. What are we going to put in that place so that the cattle will also survive, even better than the one that is moving about. So this is what the federal government is supposed to do. Because as they have said, it's going to lead to conflict. And conflict will bring about underdevelopment. And conflict will slow down the economy. We cannot continue as a people like this because we are one nation. If we are one nation and one people under God, then we must do things to create harmony. What must be in our mind is harmony. There is no race that is superior to the other. We are all Nigerians. So the open grazing out according to the north, in the northern part of Nigeria, they may still have it because they have surplus land. But in the south, particularly the southeast, it will be difficult because if you travel through the southeast, one town will be merging into another. So to find such a space, it will not be possible. In the south, the same thing. They are outgrowing. So is the southwest. They have even passed such law. So what do we do? Will the state government now come? If supposing the federal government say, okay, no, we abandon that decision, can you provide land for ranching? Is the state government ready to provide land for ranching? If they are ready to provide land for ranching, then any other person still coming to talk about open grazing is now the one looking for trouble. So let's look at that and see the way forward.
Okay. The Cattle Breeders Association, I think Mietiala, has already taken a position, which of course is in line with the federal government's position. What's the implication of this? I mean, can this hold water in the face of the law?
It cannot hold water in the face of the law. Even if you look at the happenings just now in the north, states like Zamfara, states like Katsina, even the governors have come up to ban transportation of animals like cows. They've come out to ban it because they themselves, they now see that for there to be security, for them to enjoy security in their various states, then the activities of these herders must be checkmate. So that's why you see the federal government position goes to tell how they really, that there is an undertone, that so much water have gone under the bridge, that there is more that meets the eye that we can see or understand. So that is why Mieti Allah as a group, Mieti Allah is just a mere group, for goodness sake. I don't know whether it has been given, recognized by the law, whether they registered other CAC. That is not my concern just now. My concern is that Mieti Allah as a group of persons, if they are indeed Nigerians, their utmost interest should also be peace in Nigeria. But the line they are towing, they are always contradicting the decision taken by the majority. Maybe because they feel that we have our person at the helm of affairs. But we are saying that having your person at the helm of affairs as the president of this country is not the president of Mieti Allah. He's not the president of a particular group. He's the president of Nigeria, every one of us. We are under his leadership. So Mieti Allah cannot now dictate to the president or dictate to the federal government that this is how we want it and when we want it. The federal government should also look at it, that where there is conflict, there cannot be development. So if they indeed really want development, as they are proclaiming, as they are telling every one of us that Nigeria is moving forward, Nigeria is moving onward, and Nigeria will certainly move upward. Then if that is the situation, they should know that peace is only what will promote that movement forward. So Mieti Allah cannot now come and begin to dictate, except they really want problem to come up in this country. And we are praying that Nigeria is a peaceful country, Nigerians are peaceful people, and they should allow peace to thrive. And where there is peace, there will certainly be development.
But Mr. Sekwene, last word on this.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the action of Meshiala, because if you know where these people are coming from, you should know that it's not an easy task. Because there are some reasons which I might not like to disclose the why none of those state governors signed on their earlier decision. You know, these people, they are S-men. Do you know what S-men mean? It's going beyond what you see. You know, they are one of those terrorist group, you know, international terrorist S-men. So I feel that some governors have been intimidated, some are afraid. A lot of this are involved. That when they say, so they try to influence the federal government at all costs. At all costs, and government will bow to them because of their connection, their belief, and all that. That's what whatever they want, they get it. So don't forget about who you are mentioning, you are talking about S-men. They're not ordinary people. Please, we must say that. They are not ordinary people. So that's why I'm not afraid by their action.
Okay, Reverend, last word.
Mieti Allah is an association. And because it's an association, they have a right to make requests or end their desire. But it's not going to go down well, because even the governor of Kano State, he made it clear. He said, I am also a Fulani. That at this 21st century, you cannot be moving cow about. That he wants ranching. That they should come to Kano State, he will provide ranching. So if they provide ranching, there will be totally, conflict will be taken away from the streets. Conflict will be taken from the forest. Conflict will be taken from the society. And there will be rapid development. Do you know that some people can go and cut elephant grass and take it to the ranching site and sell? These are the input. They can dig borehole, and people digging borehole will dig a lot of commercial borehole for them to drink water. And then we now see even the feces that they produce, it is a organic manure. So the one they throw away in the forest is useless. But this one, it will be sold. People gather them for something. So my word on this is that Metiala as an association is thinking of what they used to know and what they used to do. But time has moved on. And I tell them, by the time they embrace this ranching, they will see that their work will be very easy. They can monitor proceed, they can monitor sales, and the car will be healthier than the one they used to have now.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's still Politics Today on independent television and radio. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with the second segment of the program. Please stay with us. Don't go away. Okay, let's get back to the studios now as we continue our discussion on Politics Today. Talking about the anti-grazing law that was expected to have taken effect from on the 1st of September on the part of the state governors. Let's see how it stands at the moment. Roaming cattle outlawed in Rivers, Bayelsa, Ekiti, Abia, Oyo. And we hear that police are divided on... policemen are divided, or the police is divided on the enforcement modus operandi. And then legislation is still in the works in Lagos, Ondo, Osun, Ogun, Delta, Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Imo. But we know that Governor Rotimi Akeredolu did sign into law on the first day of September, just to beat the deadline. I think another state that has also joined is Enugu State. But for Edo, Anambra, Ebonyi, Cross River, they have shown the forum's decision. That's where we're taking off this conversation from. Barrister Greg Iyai is with us in the studio. Thank you for just joining us on the program. And Comrade Roy Oriwaboy is also here with us. Comrade, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now let's look at the states that are yet to buy into this anti-grazing law. One of them is Edo State. Perhaps we are a bit more concerned about increasing the vaccination rate compared to, the import of this bill, as it were, by Mr. Greg.
Yes. I think if it was a joint decision, because the governors met, a decision was taken.
Yes.
And we did not have any governor publicly dissenting. And if they had the mind of dissenting, they should have made it known at that point. And the expectation of everyone was that the law will come into force at the time it was supposed to. So we are still waiting. We do encourage that governors that have not taken any step for that law to come into effect, that they should do so, because it's for the interest of all. Because people have died in the farms, there's food security problem. So I think the governors haven't taken a joint decision. Whatever their feeling may be about it, they should go ahead with it.
Okay. Roy, you feel the same way, particularly with Edo State being in the list of states that are yet to sign the anti-grazing law. In fact, we're not aware there are processes ongoing for this law to come into reality.
Well, to some of us, we are really very bothered. Personally, I'm bothered. By now, there's no official communication. To that level, I'm bothered. That what we expect by now, this was a decision taken unanimously by the Southern governors. And if they have any reason not to subscribe to a decision they read, as at that level, what we expect any of those governors to say, well, I cannot do this. But notwithstanding, I also want to believe that those states will do the needful. Because if you recall when they met and took this decision collectively, my fear then was the modus operandi in terms of the enforcement, the implementation. How are they going to do it? That have basically been my fear. And I believe the Edo State government will also be told that, like, the fears of who will implement at the end of the day. Because those who manage the security apparatus in this country, most of them, with due respect to them, they are also part of those who roam the cow. He said that their patron or their brother is there, their sister. That human face must also must come on in the process to say why will I tell when I know that I'm a patron to this organization, why will I go and prevent them not to do their business? You know, and that, I believe that is where the Edo State government is taking it from. If on that ground, they are doing well, because one, the process for we to get it right in this country is still on. That also boils down to how do we even manage our security architecture? Who are those who are managing it for us? Those are the fundamental issues I believe we should also be looking at. One, you don't expect the Edo State government to just go and sign it, to rush and sign it, at the end, no implementation. That will also weaken the aspect for some of us who so believe that after God is government. By the time the government is taking a decision and they cannot implement it, that will demoralize some of us who believe in the government. Therefore, by now, I don't believe that we cannot just talk in blanket that the Edo State government have failed in that regard. I believe it's a process. They will get it right.
Okay. Barrister Isekwene has been with us. But looking at, you know, this list, are you surprised or disappointed that Edo State is part of the list of state governors that are yet to pass the anti-grazing law?
Yes, without fear of intimidation, with due respect to His Excellency, I'm disappointed in him by not passing this law. Because we are aware that if you watch most of the news, you see killings. So many communities have cried in those states over activity of these S-men. Exactly. We watch video, several people dead body in their farm, they cry, they shed tears. No week you don't see about the activity of these S-men. Every time watching the light TV, you need to don't look at different news. These people, they cry, killing, rape, different things happen. I'm surprised. He is one of those to champion it. I'm surprised, nothing done. And it was a gentleman agreement that you ought to, if you have anything in mind, you tell them. So you should not, the state should not play politics with the life of the people. With the peace of the prosecution of the people, they should not do that. Because so many things have happened to this. I thought that it would have been a golden point for the government to do that, which he did not do. But it's most unfortunate and regrettable. I must tell you that without any fear of intimidation.
Okay, if you just join us, it's State Politics Today on independent television and radio. As you know, we usually open our studio line so you can also call and be part of the discussion this beautiful Saturday morning, just before the call starts coming in. Earlier this week, we celebrated Edo State at 30. Barrister Greg, what are your thoughts? Edo State, yesterday, today, and the future. What are your thoughts?
I think Edo State in the past was a reference point for excellence. When you had the same Bender #1. In sports, we were there. In academic achievements, we were there. And if you talk of the people that were movers and shakers of the nation in politics, we were there. There's no administration that did not have a vibrant Edo man there. So I think to that extent, we did well yesterday. And I think today, we are doing well. At least the issue of the will of the people should prevail in election.
Okay.
Edo State got it right. And then we were an inspiration to many other people. But we must look at tomorrow, because history is the study of past events in comparison with today and for a better future. We must get it right for the future. The democratic values, particularly the Edo State, has now been known to champion. We must watch it. We must follow the government bumper to bumper, because as the late Bola Ige said, eternal vigilance is the price for freedom. And we must make sure that Edo State remains a state that champions freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and fundamental human rights. Because it was somebody from this state that moved the motion for independence. And we all know that person, Chief Anthony Nauro. So I think for the future, we should not look at party politics. We should not look at personalities. We should look at posterity.
Okay. Right. Yeah, Edo at 30. I'm not sure it was a very serious event to mark the day on the one hand, and maybe also look at certain individuals who have made the state proud over the years, particularly the founding fathers. What do you make of this?
I think this is a subject that I'm very familiar with. A few days ago, I was also in Sister Session where this issue was dissected. To me personally, I say, well, Edo cannot be moving in isolation. Edo is moving with the trend of things, with the rest takes, you know. Edo is moving according to the will the rest takes are also moving. And when I summarize my conclusion about it, I said I can give Edo 50% pass mark for now. That was my own.
50%.
50%. I think.
But that's not excellence.
No, it cannot.
It's not excellence.
No, it cannot.
So why are you holding back the excellence?
No, you cannot.
Why are you holding back the score for excellence?
The reason is that you will recall, Edo is one of the oldest local government administrative headquarters in Sub-Sahara. As I talk to you now in Edo, or two to be specific, there are still communities who have never seen a tie rod in their life. A community in Edo, when you look at those, if you are permitting me to mention them, Iyekogba, Umegbe, I'm not that road. Immediately after airport, you get to the river. What I'm telling you now is not rocket science. Ulemo. Just take that road down and walk there and quote. Umegbe. They have never seen a tie road in their life. And those persons, it's just 3 minutes before they get to the airport. And you see the reason why I have to give 50% to Edo in terms of performance. You know, and we cannot, I cannot shift the brain of the present administration because this also have an accumulated effect. That's the reason why I say Edo cannot be discussed in isolation. But generally, I still maintain that my 50% for Edo, you know, it's not so bad, okay. It's not so good. Therefore, it's so-so.
Okay.
Therefore, Edo is
so-so.
Edo is so-so.
Okay. But Edo is so-so too?
Yeah, I think there's hope for Edo, but Edo State, because at the age of 30, if you're to be human, still a young man, I think there's hope they can do better.
Of course.
They can do better. The governor can still to have better results.
Okay.
But Edo is in a good area.
Okay, now you talked about, Mr. Greg, you talked about deepening democracy.
Yes.
That the state got it right, particularly from the last election.
Yes.
But when you look at the post-election, the story has changed all of a sudden. There is discontentment, there is alienation. Some politicians are feeling used and dumped. I don't know what you make of these as we talk about Edo at 30.
Yes, I think when we are talking of a democracy, we are not talking of personalities. We are talking of institutions, and we are talking of certain things being put in place that can outlast personalities and governments. I'm worried that at this time that there are no commissioners. I'm also deeply worried about conflict between the governor and his party. And I think these are issues that we have to look at. Because if you look at the constitution, ticket is given to the party, it's not given to an individual. So I believe that there must be that cooperation, that unity between the party and the governor. And I don't think it helps anybody if there is friction. And then I also believe that while we are trying to drive things seemingly with good intention, we must be democratic about it. I want to refer to this issue of vaccination. I think the governor should tread softly on it, because power resides in the people and not in any governor or any government. And like the late Tony Anedi said, he said nobody has ever won any battle. No government, whether military or civilian, against the people. If you fight with the people, if you fight on behalf of the people, but to fight against the people, that no government has ever won it, the governor should tread softly.
Okay.
Because when we are talking of deepening democracy, this is what we are talking about: freedom of choice.
Okay, Roy. I think you're going to lap up on the earlier stand you took about 50%.
Of course.
Does the realities about deepening democracy and that semi-alienation of politicians from governors, as it were, because as we speak, commissioners are yet to come on stream, special advisors, senior special assistants, local governments are being run by sole administrators. I mean, some say Edo State now is a state run by a sole administrator. I don't know what you make of this.
Depending on which side you are taking it from. You know, human ones, they say are insatiable. No matter decision you take, people must have a way, coloration to it. You know, it will be very unfair if we don't look at the fundamental issues to the emergence of Governor Obaseki, even finding himself in PDP. It was a man in Abinishi, he was in APC. We are all aware, records are there of what transpired in the process. Finding yourself in a new abode, you naturally, there will be an opportunity should be there for people, for you to get settled. You know, I am not holding brief for the Edo State government because I am not the mappies. But I am also bothered, as you are bothered, there is local government administration as a Democrat. I am bothered because there is no commissioner. But if you look at it, if you are very sincere with yourself, you will agree with me that finding yourself in a new abode, it will take time for you to reshaping that abode that will fit into your own new status. And that is what is going on with the Edo State governor. And this time, it's a critical time in the life of Edo State, and also very critical even at the life of the governor. This is the time I don't anytime think about the governor, the situation he found himself, my brother. I'm one of those persons who feel this man is a superhuman being. How do you manage this kind of situation to the level we find ourselves? A man who was hitherto a prominent member, a number 2 man in APC by way of the governorship hierarchy, and is now in PDP. How do you marry those ideas? Most persons walk away from their party, they abandon their structure just because some persons say, a critical example, I abandoned my structure to follow Obaseki. I follow it because we want the power be known to the people. And since the power be known to the people, I have no fear in my mind. When the time comes, he will do the needful. But it's quite also very fundamental for him to take some decision now. Decision is that if you marry a new wife, meeting an old wife, it's going to take a process. There must be a process of reconciliation. I believe that process is on. Once that process is done, you agree with me very just on what happened with the issue they have with the chairman of PDP Edo State. They were seeing about the internal mechanism was also there to reconcile this process. Therefore, I still believe that we have to bear with the governor. I know that if people are not happy because there is no commissioner, but we have to bear with him. When it gets to that time, I believe he will do the needful. It is not, no matter how the situation will look at it. As I said, human ones are insatiable. If we have a commissioner today, the barrister here will be telling me, how come Sonny Duke is now the commissioner of work? You know, people will continue to talk.
Let me get to barrister. Just make a point.
With all due respect, I hold a contrary view to him. My colleague here.
Of course.
To start with, the constitution is clear. Section 14(1) said Nigeria shall be a country based on democracy, and the power belongs to the people. It is crystal clear. Then let's come to your answer your question. Now, whether the governor came from one party to the other, if there's any governor that is experienced to such a problem, it's Obaseki. He was the head of the economic team with the Shomole for years. How many years there? Then again coming back as a governor for 4 years. Then term. I think you understand the terrain. He's a technocrat. We have seen both sides. He's more competent to solve this problem. I expected him to issue of escrow, that party. Obaseki is too big for those things. Based on his experience, like I said here, it's not just the first term. And he has been with the party on the other side. He knows understand the system. It's not a no fight. It's not just new. So just a year in Edo State. He has been there. If you are in a class or so many, what do you want to learn? Is you show the practical aspect. If you want to solve it, he has made promises several times that the escort will soon get on board. But out today, nothing happens. So if you are telling me just because that is not the party, those are you are being a contact with the truth. Okay. Because it's a government experience. Okay. So I believe it can solve this problem in nature.
Okay. Bicycle. Yeah, you share this sentiment.
How long will it take him to study the terrain that he had been very familiar with? We expected him to hit the ground running because it was never conceived in the Constitution that there should be Federal Republic of Nigeria states and no local governments. And so these are the things we have to look at. Okay. I feel people are getting
agitated. Sir. I just submitted an Now we have not the only problem of ESCO. It says the council. We have other problem. Like where I belong, I'm a local practitioner. Judiciary. As I speak, there's a court. Most about where I have money by focus. No magistrates.
Hello.
No president.
Okay, let's get the call. Hello, caller. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Yes, your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, this is calling from me.
Okay, go ahead, Alhaji.
Yes, I want to comment about this open grazing law.
Yeah.
We want to say that Meiji Island, any statement they make is a statement, it's not a legal entity.
Okay.
It's not a rule. Nobody follows Meiji Island's rule. Let's make a statement, it's not a law.
Yeah.
We have seen this matter made 2014 government. Nobody has used it because there was no legitimacy in there. So if the NCR is making any statement, nobody should be referring it as a reason to say that governors cannot do their work.
Okay.
The governors who are serious have been doing their work. Look at the Edo State government. They have passed the anti-grazing law. Look at the Edo State government. They have passed anti-grazing law. Look at River State. They have passed anti-grazing law. Any government who wants the people to contribute farm produce and the people will see, you pass anti-grazing law and put people in place to chase the people that are ravaging our environment.
Okay.
That is what I think governors should do. Not saying putting a statement, federal government has not done. Give me say it's not a statement. The governors are in charge of their land. And
Okay, thank you, Alhaji, for your contribution. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning, caller. What's your name?
My name is Kundai Mondi from Ozanogo.
Yes, from Ozanogo. Go ahead, Okundai Mondi.
Yes. Yeah, the issue of the anti-grazing law in the state, especially Delta State. I believe that law, to me, is to help those cattle rearers. Because the owner of those cattle does not move with cattle. It is the people, the children, or the poor people that take care of the cattle, and they move from one place to another.
Okay.
I believe if this law is passed and it's executed, it's got to help those people. Because they will stay in one place and they will have education, they have everything.
Okay.
So the nature law saying condemning it because their children are not involved in taking care of cattle. If they say they are involved, they will not shop in this will pass through.
All right, Okundai Mondi, thank you. We have you on Politics Today, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Thank you, sir. This is Pastor.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bishop Tony, thank you very much for your good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please just carry on with the hear you.
Okay.
God will bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Hello, good morning. We lost that call. Dial the number 0522905573. It's on the screen. Good morning. What's your name, caller? Tell us your
Hello,
name.
good morning. My name is Kendi. I'm calling from Yari.
Okay, go ahead. Candy.
Regarding the Edo State, I think I agree with that when I said that you cannot discuss Edo in isolation. When we want to discuss Edo, we have to give credit to those who deserve credit and rebuke and correct those who make Edo backwards. For example, since Edo is 30 years now, we have to decide those who make Edo move forward and those who make Edo backwards. For example,
All right, thank you for your contribution.
this Pastor Joe, so you agree to sir.
Yes, good morning.
After you give her 50%, I mean you give Edo people 50%. And you call him a superstar. How long will you study the people before you give us a commissioner? Can your governor be everywhere? You know where I'm talking from now. I'm talking from Teboga. All the whole house is falling into a mode. All the whole house, they fall inside mode. If the commissioner is elected, can't they go to Teboga and take a fee from their party to here? There are cars that is back here. It's last June. It's not to come out by February or March next year. So please, when you are on radio, you should know you are talking to people. You should know what you are saying. You introduce yourself before you start to talk. Nobody is happy that don't say. The way the government is zero. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your views that you just expressed. Hello, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Good morning.
Hi, this is John. I'm calling from Jerry.
Oh, John, go ahead.
I want to ask the governor of Edo State, as my governor of Edo State, what is the problem? Why is it shying away from addressing directly insecurity problems? The ravaging problems, the killings of farmers, raping of women. Does that not do anything to him? Something lost his sense of humanity? Is it the same guy that came through the nook and crannies campaigning for votes, saying against godfatherism? A guy that pensioners and people went in their millions to vote and defend their vote for? People are dying like animals. Not directly address it like it's addressing the population problems. Why is it signing? Is there a path between him and the Northern Caliphate? Is there something that we should know? I've there? Why is it shying away? Why can't it come out to sign the anti-grazing law? What is its problem with this law? Is there something we can help him? If he's not aside, Edo can lose both hands.
Okay.
We are Benin.
Yeah.
We are known to be a people of courage. Anciently speaking, we resisted the British, and they came back again before they could conquer us. We were the last empire to be conquered in this region. So Edos don't fear people. We respect people. So why is he afraid? He should come out openly and stop using vaccine to
The governor has not told you he's afraid. I'm sure he has not said that in any
you don't need
in any
to say
forum.
that you are afraid before we know the body language.
Okay.
Why has he not signed it? A caller once said, Ogun has signed. Some states in the east have signed. Some states in the south have signed. What is his problem now?
Okay, so we'll keep our hands crossed, and keep our fingers crossed, and hear from the horse's mouth. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead.
This is Harold. You know what is there is that to me, the governor is found. Out of 17, it's only 2, according to your ICD, the Lagos and Edo. What are they waiting for? They should sign. And concerning the commissioner, what have they done? The one that we have elected before. If you elect them now, what are they going to perform? We know that yes, we have to elect the commissioner. If they go there, are they going to do the work they said there? Thank you very much.
All right, that's our last call today, gentlemen. Our time is up, but let's get to the final word.
Yes, like I said, not only just yes to commissioners. Judiciary is even more affected. Where I practice. You have no president for about 4 or 5 months. All the 5 remain there. The people coming from overseas, different places abroad. I told them
have they been retired or
some retired, no employment to
replace them?
You know,
Okay.
yeah, so the court was not the fact just there, nothing in the court.
Okay.
So, but now
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say that what they just did was not to swap assign to other president to be handling about. So they wrote about 3 different courts from different places. You go to Kada, you go to Bini.
That's good management of available resources.
No, but
isn't it?
Employ. They have lawyers who are capable.
All right, so Roy, last word from you.
I will be calling on Edo people not to give up.
Okay.
They should remain very determined.
Last word.
We love Obaseki, but he should listen to the people.
Okay, that's our program for today on the show, Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. We hope you had a great time with us. Have a great weekend. Once again, happy birthday to His Excellency Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawa Igbenino, celebrating his 87th birthday. So a celebration for us here on ITV Radio. Bye for now.